right. Welcome. Greetings and welcome everyone to another CC Canada Meditation Group gathering. It is April 25th, 2021. It is 1:05 p.m. Eastern, 10:05 p.m. AM Pacific. And in India, it is, what is it, Kiara? 10:30 p.m. Your time. We are all over the world today, and we are very, very grateful everyone has decided to join us. We're really looking forward to connecting and sharing with all of you. Today, we'll be sitting in a circle together for roughly 2 hours. We'll see how it goes with our special guests, David and Kiara from Above Duality. But before we begin, we just want to go through a few guidelines of how we can maintain the integrity and the safety of the gathering for everyone participating. First and foremost, we do have a responsibility to respect one another. Please be patient, hold space, and listen to your heart while others are speaking. A couple extra things we can do is just make sure our mics are turned off. We can have a pen and paper handy to write down any thoughts or questions that we have during the discussion. And we can always utilize the chat tool to send out messages and questions to the group. Let us just be mindful of what we are sharing, as we only wish to be sharing high vibrational content. During this time, if you have anything that you would like to ask, perhaps just raise your hand using the button's reaction or the reaction button down there in your Zoom toolbar. This may be varied depending on which device you're using. And as always, just please allow some grace as we listen, learn, and love together. Secondly, we should all be mindful and listen to our bodies. Today, if we are tired or have to go, please bid good day and log off. If we are hungry or thirsty, just take some time to nurture yourself. If we need to have a break to stretch our legs or otherwise, please do so. Just remember we are in a circle together, and we should be conducting ourselves with maturity and thoughtful awareness at all times. Also, we are a spiritual community. We share spiritual values and the desire to see this planet with all of its beings and beyond in freedom, peace, and health, connected by a unifying consciousness. Our efforts and intent are to nurture the awakening and awareness of others and ensure as much light is being held as possible. Please hold this light with us today. Lastly, as we are doing this energy work, it's important to prepare ourselves for higher frequencies and protect ourselves and our space from negative interference. As we move about this 3D world, we can leave ourselves open to infiltration and thus not being in the right headspace or alignment to connect with others. So it's imperative we take a few moments just to wash out these dense attachments so we can listen from our heart and express ourselves authentically. And as always, the intent and focus of our CC gatherings is to bring in the highest vibration that we can hold in love, healing, protection, and to raise our consciousness to 5D and beyond, sending it into every crevice of Canada, the world, the universes, and into all that is, and to make it available for all that wants, needs, or seeks it. Thank you for your patience and your cooperation. Now, let us settle our hearts and minds and join together. We are sovereign beings, intently co-creating our world. So thank you so much for that. We will just kind of dive right into it. Our guests really don't need any introduction. I'm sure we are all familiar with David and Kiara from the Above Duality podcast and many, many other platforms. They are here. We're going to be sharing with them. They're going to be sharing with us today. And David, you have volunteered to lead us off. So thank you so much for joining us, David and Kiara. Very, very excited to have you. Welcome to our group.
Thank you, Philip, and pleasure to be here, pleasure to be among everyone, soul family, all, every one of you. And Kiara and I'll let him speak, but I know we are both blessed to be contributing however we can. We're honored to be of service at this time to the amazing Connecting Consciousness organization. Love what you guys are doing, love Simon, and it is a testing time for us as light workers. It is that's why I have Bakal here in the background, give him a scratch, watching over us to remind us how powerful we are and the tools that we have to really very quickly step into that power when everything around us, especially in Canada, I think most of you are here from Canada, is falling apart like a pack of cards, seemingly, but actually it's all part of this divine plan. And I'm sure Kiara's meditation at the end of today is going to be phenomenal. But how do we navigate that? How do we stay present? How do we stay activated? These are the questions that we struggle with. I do. I know you do as well. We're all in this together. But coming together like this in groups and just learning some more tools, learning from each other. I learn from you. We learn from you so much every time. We feel empowered coming out of today's sessions and sessions like this. So that's just a quick hello from me. And Kiara, just jump in here, my friend.
Well, I'm happy to be part of your group for this evening, or evening here in India. And wow, these are strange and interesting times. And, you know, as I keep saying, we are the Navy SEALs of the cosmos. It takes a certain amount of courage, dedication, empowerment, and willingness to be here on this earth at this time, with the kind of connectedness that's necessary with Mother Earth, with the soul of the earth. So recognizing that everything that we're experiencing, everything that we're going through, everything that we're contributing is Gaia's plan. It's part of her journey, and we are part of that. So I really feel deeply about that, and that's what allows me to carry hope rather than despair, and trust rather than fear, knowing that there's something far beyond our personal self involved here, and that we're linking up together in a way that we can support each other and the planet and the cosmic forces for this operation, you know, that we're embarking on. And I'm sure, you know, as we continue to talk, you know, we'll be dealing with a lot of this. We'll be dealing with a lot of our own content of fear. We'll be dealing with our need for sovereignty. We'll be dealing with how we can support on multidimensional levels, because it's not enough just to work on a mental level or just the conscious levels of our awareness. So it's like, how do we break out of that and break out of the matrix itself, so we can be fully present as conscious divine manifestor beings. So grateful to be part of this group, and yeah, let's see where we go.
Amazing. Thank you both, David and Kiara, for those beautiful, beautiful introductions. Yeah, and I just wrote down here very quickly, Kiara, I love what you said, you know, just reconnecting with the soul of the earth, really truly raising that vibration to not only for earth, but individually, collectively, universally. It takes each one of these little practices, just gathering together, focusing on that, and then bringing it back and focusing on our individual work as well, and then repeating that process. We had some wonderful questions last night with Alana Danan, and one was like, you know, how can, you know, what is our purpose? What should we be doing here? What guidance does your team have for us? It's simply raise your vibration. And I said, you know, it seems simple. It seems like an easy kind of concept, but it's something that we definitely need to be working on every single day and encouraging each other and supporting each other along that journey. It is a rocky road, but it is a beautiful one indeed. So thank you, David and Kiara, for that. David, you had something special that you wanted to share with the group this morning. I'm really looking forward to it.
Sure. Well, wonderful words yourself, my friend, as ever. And a quick thank you to all the coordinators here. Philip, you included, my friend. I know what it's like to run an organization or international organizations, and it's extremely time consuming when it's pro bono work. Of course, the payment is service to others, which is, there's no monetary value on that, never will be. But thank you all for what you're doing. It's very appreciated by every single member. I guarantee it, and me included. But yeah, this came through about 30 minutes ago. As sometimes happens in consciousness, it is an exclusive. I'll explain a little bit about it and its purpose for today, or my intention. Maybe we can make that our intention. You can use this as a tool if you want to take this down or whatever, or if you just want to join in and meditate with it. It's more of an activation than a meditation. I know Kiara is probably going to do more of a meditation. His amazing meditations at the end. But this is, I've called it the ACS grounding activation. ACS is an acronym standing for the activation. We'll do a clearance, and then we'll do a sealing at the end, which is actually a spell given to us by Serapis Bey, Lord of Ascension, from the Great Mother Isis. And this particular spell doesn't have a direct translation, but it is a golden wrapping on anything. And you can use that at any time. And I've been guided to be able to share that today. Traditionally, it's just sort of for mystery school work, but this is really kind of a mystery school. So it's okay. I want to ask you, Philip, before we go into this, and don't worry if I can't do this, I have got some very light music prepared that I can share on my screen. You'd have to make me the host. If you don't want to do that, that's okay. I can do that without music, sort of a cappella.
No. Don't sell yourself short or anything like that, David. You know, I like to have a little music in the background if people can hear that already. I will stop sharing my screen. I will make you a co-host so then you can share your screen. That'd be absolutely fantastic.
Okay, super. Thank you very much.
All right. So I will share, and I think you're good to go there, David.
Okay. Okay, so before we begin the music share here, let us just settle in quickly to a space. We are going to call in the masters, as Kiara and I do before every show, pretty much. These are some of the ultra beings, some of the ascended master energies and beings that are available to everyone at all times. They're some of the masters that I am working with right now, and I'm sure Kiara is as well, maybe many of you. If any of this ascended beings that you are working with are not on this list, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to share who I'm working with right now, and then we're going to go into the activation. So preluding that, we're going to do a couple of I am activations just to get centered into the channel of source here. So I want to invite everyone to just find, in whatever environment they're in, a gentle position of comfort and peace. You can close your eyes if you so choose. If you do have headphones and you want to connect with the music, let's go ahead and grab those. If you don't, it's okay. And there's no special position that's going to work for this. It's whatever you're comfortable with, just to connect and to activate. And of course, if you do have a meditative position or pose, just settle into that now. The key thing is to ensure that you don't have any distractions or things that will pull you away for the next 5 to 10 minutes as we join together this wonderful, magical, connecting consciousness soul family and bring in a group energy. We never travel anywhere as souls, specifically you listening to this, without being in groups. We come into systems, we come into incarnations to work together at different times. And there's no accident that we are here together. We're here to do a very special sacred work on ourselves, for the collective, as Kiara beautifully said, for Mother Gaia, this just unwordably powerful, beautiful consciousness that is growing this Earth planet. And we are so connected to her at this time. So let us take a couple of deep breaths. Ideally, in breath, in through the nose, and out breath, out through the mouth. It doesn't have to be this. This is my preferred method for just connecting and settling and centering. Breathing in the light from 360 degrees that is everywhere present at all times. Anything other than this perception is just a distraction. We are great beings of light, drawn to the light, surrounded by light. And those not in this space are just simply not aware of this light yet in their physical vessels, but we know they will be. We know that we are all one, even though our packaging may look a little bit different. We may sound a little bit different. We are all God. And so the intention for today's activation and clearing is to activate ourselves in our own personal power, and then to remember the unification of such, the fact that we are all one. So there will be mantras today. I do ask that if you are going to join in with these mantras, that you do just have microphones on mute. You don't have to announce the mantras, invoke the mantras. You can just listen along, let the sound move through you. And anything that doesn't resonate with you in this activation, let's just go on a grocery store ride together. You're not going to put everything in the trolley, in the basket, just what you need. And Source will guide you as to what you need today. Trust that. Trust, trust, trust. Let's begin with the I am activations to connect to Source. So bringing your awareness now to either the crown chakra or the soul star chakra, either or. The 12 chakra system, in this vertical space, in this particular instance, the crown and the soul star chakra, the doorway to infusion. You will know which one is right, or both, in fact, if it feels so right. I am the soul. I am the light divine. I am love. I am will. I am of divine design. I call upon the pillar of pure white Christ light. Descend upon me now. Move through me, move around me, surround me. I ask for the presence of the I am that I am to merge and join with me now. So be it, and so it is. And this time we now ask for the intention of high vibrational activation, soul recall, cosmic memory, and presence. We ask for the highest good of ourselves, for the group, for humanity, for the presence, and summon forth Jeshua ben Joseph, Jesus, the Christ, mighty Saint Germain, the loved one, Zoroaster the King, the Magi Zarathustra, Lao Tzu the Old Sage, the Buddha, the Eternal One, Babaji, the smiling Guru Lahiri Mahasaya, Sri Aptaswa, the teacher, Paramahansa Yogananda, the gift, the Lord of the first ray, El Moria, Kuthumi, the great guiding light, Dwal Kul, the master teacher, Paul the Venetian, Serapis Bey, the Lord of Ascension, Hilarion, the bringer of joy, the keeper of this ashram, the English master, Douglas Baker, Lord Michael and the angelic realm, all the archangels, divas, cherubim and seraphim, Krishna, the avatar, Kuan Yin, the incandescent one, Aina, the ninth dimensional guide, Mohammed the prophet, Joshua, who walked with God, the master in us, Yahweh in us, Savior in us. Let us take 3 deep breaths in through the nose and holding at the top, activating the pineal. And hold. And release. One more deep breath in through the nose. And hold. Activate, activate. Light up the cave. And release. One final deep breath in through the nose and hold. And release. As with eyes closed, I shall now bring in some light music. And just feel the space of connected energy as a group now. A wonderful soul family, connecting consciousness, brothers and sisters. And this particular music healing will have Himalayan singing bowls led in. It is a heart chakra, frequency of 639 hertz. It is on the Above Duality channel. You can listen to this back at another time as well if you so choose. Open and breathe. Open and breathe. We will now begin the activation. And this is a connection to Gaia, the Great Mother. We will chant Soham 3 times. And Soham is a source presence activation, and it's a connection to the One, the universal truth, the God source within. You can chant along or you can just listen. Whichever feels right for you is right for you. Soham. 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 We are connected, we remember, we are God within. We are infinite power, we are love, we are light. Regardless of any circumstances here in lower densities or vibrations, we can step into this power at any time by getting quiet, returning to center with breathing and remembering who we are. We are nothing but the light, we are nothing but the love. Feel the God within. You are the masters here, beloved. You are the light. You are safe. You are infinite. So much more than this physical vessel. Give thought to your immortality now. And often. Open and breathe as we go deeper into the activation. Let us see Gaia now, the great Earth Mother. Whatever vision comes through is right. We will now chant 8 times. Om Namah Shivaya, the universal we are all one connection mantra. Feel your connection to Gaia at this time. Feel your connection to us all. We are soul family here at this specific time on Earth to usher in what has never been seen before. Moving through a 26,000 year cycle. You are so important. You are so needed. You are so loved. I see you and we see each other. Let us feel this activation to each other. Soul family. The power of one. Guided by the law of one. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 We are connected as one. We are unified with the divine plan. We are in surrender to it. Even though the mental body may convince us that we should be doing something or on a mission, and there may be times when this is okay, we trust that it is okay also just to be like this together in a group unified with the highest vibrational energies. And we trust that this great energy moves beyond time and space, heals not just us, other light workers on the planet, those who have yet to step into their brilliance, but also the galaxy. We are here to heal, we are here to love. And now in the second part of the activation, I will read a declaration of personal power and sovereignty. And after this, we shall clear and then release and then seal this decree of sovereignty. There comes a time in the lives of those destined for greatness when we must stand before the mirror of meaning and ask, why have we been endowed with the courageous heart of a lion? Do we live as mice? We must look squarely into our own tired eyes and examine why we waste so much time sniffing at every distraction, why we cower at the thought of revealing our true selves to the world, why we scurry so quickly from conflict, and why we consent to play small, but no more. We must ask why we participate so humbly in this Earth-human society's frantic race, allowing ourselves into its mazes of mediocrity and settling for scraps of reward and scarcity, when nature and the God within us is but a different truth and offers unlimited freedom, power, and abundance to the bold and the courageous of memory, to the determined, the creative, the independent. To each of us, we remember this now. We must ask if our desires to feel safe and accepted are in fact enslaving us to popular opinion and to boredom. We must ask, when will we be ready to ascend to another level of existence? We declare this time is now. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary to ask such questions and to dissolve the beliefs and behaviors that have limited us, assuming once more the full powers of our being to which the divine all-creator God and the laws of the universe have entitled us. A decent respect to humankind requires that we should declare these motives that impel us to exert our strength, our love, our sovereignty, and to seemingly separate ourselves from those who stunt our vitality, our growth, and our happiness. All is well, for this seeming separateness is but just an ascension path. We must declare now our personal power and freedom, and we do so. We hold these truths self-evident, that all men and women are created equal, though we do not live equal lives due to the differences in will, motivation, effort, habit, drawn forth from soul contracts. All is well. That we are endowed by our Creator God with certain inalienable rights, divinity, and that among these are life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and the expanse and capacity to love beyond measure, but that it is incumbent upon each of us to be vigilant now and disciplined should we wish to attain such a vital, free, happy, and pure ascension path. We believe the greatest of human powers is the ability to independently think for ourselves, to choose our own aims, affections, actions, and who we spend time with. For in the hearts of humankind lives a natural instinct for freedom and independence, a psychological predisposition for self-direction, a biological imperative towards growth, ascension, and spiritual joy in choosing and advancing one's own life. We choose this path now. We choose the highest reality. We choose the highest possible timeline for us, knowing that it is the right path for us, and that those who may not wish to walk this path at this time will be along when the time is right for them. Nothing can stop the light at this time. It is the main motivation of humankind to be free, to express our true selves and pursue our dreams without restriction, to experience what may be called personal freedom and sovereignty. To secure these rights and this personal freedom and sovereignty, men, women, and children of conscience must not consent to be controlled by fear, convention, or the will of the masses. We must govern our own lives, and when our thoughts and actions become destructive, it is our responsibility to alter or abolish them and step into the light, developing new habits for ascension. These are the foundations for personal sovereignty and freedom at this time. We ask for the will of the divine all, the source within us, to guide us to this divinity, to guide us to streamline our lives for ascension, for love, for liberation. We understand that the events that play out on the planet at this time, though distressing to observe from the ground level, are all just simply part of a divine matrix, a divine plan. We choose not to feed this, but to feed the faith that leads to knowing that we are all God, we are all one, we are all unified, and that no intention or behavior or action formed due against us may prosper in this light, and moreover may be transformed by our dedication to this path of light, of love. Oh, we are so powerful, but not in force, which is a man-made construct, but with the power of God that is within us at all times. In this activation and declaration of personal power and sovereignty, we remember this now. We feel it. Not in egoic terms that we may conquer another, but that we may shine light and love through their very physical heart, releasing them from bonds. So it is. I will now read the final part of this activation, which are releasing statements that we may be holding on to at this time. Let us be liberated from everything in the third density and step into the light now. I am a being of sacred fire. I am the light of God. I will bring forth only the highest truth and most valid information for the benefit of all. For if it is not good for one, it is not good for all. I am surrounded by and in the protective light of the great Lord Archangel Michael at this time. Number 1, I release any and all expectations I have about my spiritual growth and advancement. I will live each day in the moment, concentrating on bringing myself into harmony in body, mind, and emotions with my higher self. Number 2, I release all agreements with my mother, my father, my children, my stepchildren, my husband, my wife, my brothers and sisters, my friends, my ex-husband, my ex-wife, or anyone else who keeps me anchored in a third dimensional reality. I release all invalid concepts about my worthiness of love, joy, peace, harmony, security, abundance, creativity, youthful vitality, health and well-being, aging and death. I release the need to save the world or anyone in it. I realize now my mission is to accept my mastership, to be a living, loving example for all without expectations from anyone. Number 3, I release all preconditioning in all cell memories about my body form. I claim my God-given birthright of beauty, vitality, health and well-being, knowing that this is my natural state of being, that I only have to follow the nudging of spirit to manifest as perfection. Number 4, I release all expectations regarding my creativity and my work. I work and create in the flow for the joy of it and the service it brings to others. And I know that my abundance and resources come from spirit and not necessarily my physical efforts. Number 5, I release any and all hold of the third dimensional government and establishment that I thought they had over me. They do not control me or my abundant security. I am totally empowered to manifest safety, to be entirely self-sufficient, and to be totally and completely and purely in control of my destiny. Number 6, I release all residual karmic debt from the stored energy within me and my physical, emotional, and astral bodies now. I resolve all conditions with grace and ease, and I will seek to expand my capacity as a bearer of creator light in order to join in co-creation of heaven upon earth. Number 7, I release any misconceptions regarding my ability to draw knowledge, wisdom, and pertinent information of spirit from higher realms. I draw forth new knowledge, concepts, and wisdom in order to learn, to grow, and to serve as a living example. I release all judgment, all preconceived ideas and expectations for other people, knowing that they are in their own perfect place in involvement. I give love unconditionally and encouragement unconditionally, and only offer information when asked, and then with the admonition that my truth may not be their truth. So be it, and so it is. We will now close today's activation with the same chants, Om Namah Shivaya, remembering the unification of this soul family. We are all one. Let healing be done here. Let love flow through here. Let cosmic memory return at the right pace for us all. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 And finally, we will invoke sacred words given to us from the Great Mother Isis through the Lord of Ascension, Serapis Bey, to activate and feel the Great Mother Isis's presence, the greatest. Do so under starlight on a clear night, drawing forth the starlight as you would do the sun's rays into every cell, activating cosmic memory. For this is when the Great Mother Isis joins us with the most clarity, power, and presence. You can use this spell at any time. It simply is a declaration of healing, of light, of love, of heart-centered God memory and activation. And we will close today's activation and feel its power move through us. So for the intention of activating cosmic memory, for coming together as a soul family, for growing our light, the highest it can possibly be for the highest good of all, I so declare, Sonit atum, kibat shalatit et cons, akata, onks sunamin. Be it so, it is done, it is finished, it is sealed. We are one. So when you are ready, we shall count now from 5 to 0, just to return back into the physical bodies, wherever you are. There is no rush with this process. Do so at your own pace. I will lead us in this count. 5, starting to come back into the space where you are. 4, just wiggling toes and fingers, moving hands. 3, just rolling shoulders, feeling anchored now in the physical space yet again, joining the 2, the higher and the lower. 2, just sitting a little bit upright, feeling yourself return to the normal space where you were before we began. 1, about to be awake and aware and healed and loved. And 0, eyes open whenever you are ready. I thank you for joining with me in this activation. my brothers and sisters of light. Thank you.
Phenomenal is an understatement. Thank you, David, for such beauty, such wisdom, such guidance there. And thank you, Ascended Masters, for all of that as well. So beautiful. Something that stuck out with me the whole time was, again, the theme that we were really kind of touching on the last time we were together was allowance. And isn't that allowance, so important when it comes to definitely that releasing piece and those attachments. Number two was obviously striking to me as a huge one, of course for myself, but I think all of us really struggle with those attachments of, you're talking about specific family members and friends and those that are close to us, and some of these preconceived ideas of our identity, and the allowance to release that and move through that process, and the allowance to have everyone be on their journey. So important as we move about this storm, trying to navigate, trying to steer in the right direction. We do not want to hit the rocks, but forgive ourselves if we have some bumps. So important. Thank you, David. That was absolutely beautiful. Really looking forward to that. Thank you for sharing that. And like you said, I think those that would like a taste of that music, it sounds like that is on your YouTube channel. So please check that out on YouTube, Above Duality. Wow, that was absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much, David. That was beautiful. All right. Thank you, everyone, for participating in that as well. You got some wonderful comments there in the chat. Lots of thank yous, some beautiful stuff. Love and blessings. Amazing stuff. Kiara, I welcome you to the floor. I don't know how much strength or your energy you got after that wonderful activation, cleansing and sealing. That was phenomenal. So Kiara, welcome. How are you feeling today? What's something that we should be allowing? Where should we be focusing our intentions right at this moment before we get into our closing?
Well, I'm delighted to be in interactive mode. So if people have any questions or any stories or journeys that you would like to share, let's take a few of those.
I like that a lot. Let's allow that process to happen. So normally we do we do have a sharing period, so this would be a great time to do that. If anyone has any comments, questions, anything that they would like to share and maybe be vulnerable with, please raise your hand using the reactions button, and we'll get you right in there. Roland did not waste any seconds. Roland, welcome to the floor.
Yeah, what I was feeling first, I was laying down in bed, but then the volume from David was a little low, so I went to the chair again. During the meditation, what I have sometimes with other ones too, I feel some sensation or pressure a little bit on the third eye here. That's what I want to say. That's all.
Thank you so much, Roland. Did you have your crystals with you this time as well?
Yep.
Oh, both of them. Excellent stuff. Wonderful. Thank you, Roland, for sharing. It was, for me, it was just like this kind of, David, earlier on you said, the light in the 360, the 360 light, and I felt like this whole time just this like kind of cushioning around myself. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Definitely needed that countdown to re-enter at the end there. That was definitely for sure. Thank you so much. Anyone else would like to share their experience during this time, or maybe anything else that they're working on, and maybe some of the practices that they've been doing this past week? Letitia, is that correct?
Okay, sorry about that. I just want to share what happened with the meditation. I agree with Roland. I felt pressure right here, which was weird, but kind of cool in the same way. It actually felt sore, and I don't know, but I kind of fell when I was going through the meditation. I kind of fell asleep. I don't know if I was asleep or not, but I don't remember a certain part. And then I came back in. I don't know if that's normal or not. I'm so new to this. I think this is the first time I've done this.
Well, the answer is yes to everything. The answer is the number 7, and the answer is yes. It's perfectly normal. And we talk about this a lot in the Lamasery, Jeff Dunphy's Lamasery. But we do a lot of this work. We've just begun an intensive white magic course, which is kind of scary actually, but anyway. But we do a lot of this stuff. We talk about spiritual push-ups and ascension push-ups. You can call it whatever you want. It's just a label we use. And it is streamlining your life for ascension. And I don't do very many things very well, but one thing that I do well in my life is I'm very good at setting a goal to go on a journey and plugging in a disciplined daily practice of rituals and routines. I've always seemed to be able to do that very well. Now I know some people have struggled with that, or some people are even better than me at that.
I really struggle with that. I think I'm ADHD. I'm like always on the fly.
It's a challenge. I mean, and there's no right or wrong way of doing that, and there's no better or worse. But I think from my father, right from my my sports career early on, kind of drilled and hammered that into me. So I've always had that. But and anybody can develop that, and it will look different for everyone. But what we do is when we have these when you streamline your life for ascension, when you make ascension your priority in thought, word, and deed, things start to happen. You get chakra activations, you get bodily illnesses as you clear and cleanse. And of course, the physical representation of these pains. I know my brother of light, Kiara, has gone through this wonderful dance of illness recently, the cleansing, and he may or may not share that, but he is going through profound activations right now. And that's manifesting in us all differently. You know, it can be an activation. It can be something in our body that says, oh, hold on a minute, there's resistance here, or there's something stored here for us to cleanse. And it's not for us to go, oh my God, what is that? It's just for us to allow and surrender to and say, oh, pain, what are you? Talk to me, and get quiet and, you know, tap into that 0 point space. I'll just share a quick story. I went out, I have a lot of extraterrestrial craft sightings. I have hybrid DNA. They follow me around like I'm attached to a kite kind of thing. Anyway, and that has good things and bad things. But if I go outside and it's clear, I'll see, you know, 15, 20 ships a night. Some of them will be the same, but I'll have lots of sightings. And I'll share this with some people. Kiara knows about this. We talk about this quite a bit. But most recently, I was speaking to my girlfriend about this. And she's a new element in my life, a wonderful, wonderful soul, definitely soul family. And I was sharing some of this, and she's very awake, but I was sharing some of this stuff. I'm like, okay, well, if you're going to be part of my life, it's not just me you're going to be part of. I'm just going to make you aware. And she was totally cool. And I said, well, if you like, we can go out and see who comes out under the stars, because quite often they won't come out for soul contractual reasons or whatever, or sometimes they will with other people. And we did, you know, I do little mini CE5s with people. So anyway, we went out to Canmore in the mountains here, just absolutely stunning night. This was last Thursday or Wednesday, I can't even remember now. And I'm going to relate this to what you said, Roland, and also you, Letitia.
Letitia.
Sorry, about having an activation, because when we do these push-ups and we do this stuff, we move into a different dimension sometimes. We can go into a different space, and whether we stay there or not depends on kind of how much we hold that light. And so it's a dance of connection right now. anyway, we went out and it was just a clear night. You could almost see the Milky Way. It was movie-esque. It was phenomenal. And we bought these cheap blankets from Superstore, and some pillows, some really cheap, like $6 pillows. And I grew up in Canmore pretty much when I first moved here 10 years ago. So I know all the little spots. So we went down by the river, and the river it was pretty much melted. It was raging. It was loud, beautiful, just a connection to nature. Just us, no one around, right in the heart of the mountains, mountain silhouette backdrop, what looked like about 20 feet away, but it's probably, you know, about a mile away. You couldn't describe it. You had to be there. Amazing. So we found a spot, laid down. It was a bit wet, but we got around that. And before that, I had seen, because we were walking on the path, pitch black along the river. I knew the route very well, so it was fine. But I immediately saw someone had come out. And you know, we lay down, and literally, like within 60 seconds, like we'd shined a laser pointer up right over the top of us, it began. And it was like the 4th of July. We had, I don't know which groups they were, but we had ships come over, we had them come in, we had them flash, we had them dance, we had them do all kinds of stuff for about an hour and a half. Felt like about 6 weeks. And what we didn't realize was, as we moved into this space of connection, so the point for my story here, the sound of the river had gone, disappeared. Literally, we couldn't hear it.
Okay.
And we didn't realize this at the time. And this went on for a bit, had all kinds of other funny things go on. And then we sort of came out of this experience because we were freaking freezing. So it was ready to go. You Canadians know what I'm talking about. Even though we were bundled up, it was cold. It was about sort of -6 or 7. It was chilly.
Oh my gosh, that's really cold.
It was chilly. Then we sort of, almost like we came out of meditation, we agreed to go home, and then the sound of the river came back in again. So we had gone somewhere. So when we do this work, when we connect to higher beings, when we connect to source, we do enter into another space. And so whatever happens with you, it can be scary, because the ego body can say, what's safety? What's familiar? What do I know? What's my job title? Who am I around? What's the familiar place to say, okay, I'm safe? But we're moving out of that now. And so just to trust in whatever happens, whether it's manipulation or whether it's personal activation, just to trust your sovereignty, trust your Godhead, that it will be perfect for you. So anyway, a little story just to sort of describe that, but I wanted to bring that in. I've not shared that live on camera yet.
Just a follow-up question then. So when I so-called fell asleep, I didn't really fall asleep. I was somewhere else. But how come but I don't recall. How do I recall that? You recalled going somewhere, but how do we, it's because I'm a newbie, right?
Well, yes and no to that. You're not. It's not your first time at all.
No.
Not your first time at all. No. Maybe in the physical vessel, in this incarnation, it may feel that way.
Yeah.
You've done this many, many, many times. Many times you've done this kind of work before. And that's why you're here right now, because you're drawn to it, right?
Yes, I do feel drawn.
Yeah, the veil that we pass through when we incarnate. I was telling Kelly about this. This is the way that I see it. And it doesn't necessarily happen this way, but at the moment of conception, when the sperm enters the egg, there is an energy activation. And I like to think of it this way: the souls that are in the cosmic waiting room, waiting to come down to Earth, there is an immediate connection with at least one of those souls who have energetic agreements to come down and are waiting to come down into the Earth plane. And there's an immediate connection. So when we come through, we do pass through the veil of forgetfulness. And that's why so many of the high dimensional beings, and I'm sure Kiara and I will share more stories in further podcasts, so many of these higher beings see us as gods, because to transverse the human experience, let alone, crikey guys, at this time, oh my God, they see us as just the gods, queens, and kings of the galaxy, because it's so challenging to navigate the veil of forgetfulness and remember who we are, which is what we're doing here today, again, and what we will continue to do. So yeah, you may not remember it, Tish, and you may not have recall, but again, to trust that it will be activated and you will remember if you are meant to, and you will remember at the right time, it will come through. And it may not come through in, oh yeah, I remember. It may come through in a different way. You know, it's it will appear to you in different formats, but just to be available to be a tuning fork, a radio receiver of the divine all, to present you with those amazing messages, and not to have it look a certain way, because that's what the ego does. It's like, well,
Yeah.
that wasn't it, because I thought it would be a shiny yellow truck, and that's what I wanted. And
That's
sometimes
funny how you mentioned truck, because I always wanted a truck, but it wasn't yellow, it's orange.
Okay, there you go. That's my favorite color. Amazing.
Well, if I could add something to that, much of our conditioning has been through the conscious mind. And that's a very limited perception of reality. It's one tiny slice of what's out there. And beyond that, there's the subconscious, there's the superconscious, there's different levels of awareness. And it's not really so important to see the full landscape. What's important really is the intention that we hold. And that intention then creates from itself, because that intention attracts universal response. That intention invites universal beings to support us, work with us, work through us. And so I think a big part of this is actually recognizing who we think we are. Are we these limited human conditioned personal structures, the lower bodies, or are we something beyond that, more than that? And as we shift our identities from the human self to the planetary self to the cosmic self, as we begin to experience more and more of that, then our intention, actually, our ability to manifest grows. But it's a journey, it's a process. And all of us are going through the same journey. And the other thing to remember is we each have our different channels. Not everyone's going to see things. Not everyone's going to hear things. Not everyone's going to sense things. Some people are more intuitive, and that's just as important a channel or a gift as vision. Although, because we have this idea that to see is to believe, many of us are stuck on that one channel. And so don't worry about what you think you're experiencing or not experiencing, what you're, we feel different ways and at different times, depending on what's going on within us, within our bodies, within our hearts and minds and souls. And none of that is important, because all of that, brings a focus to the personal self. And it's time to go beyond the personal self.
No, I've lost it totally. That's what I was afraid of.
Self.
There we go.
Sorry, Mabel, just if you could just remember to mute yourself, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you, Kiara and David, for that. There's so much I want to add, but that was some beautiful wisdom and a beautiful story from David. I don't want to taint any of that. So absolutely, I think that was absolutely gorgeous. Thank you, Letitia, for that wonderful question. That really, covers a lot of us, where we might feel like we're new. We might feel like maybe, what's the right thing to do here? What am I supposed to be picking up? Am I falling asleep? Where did I go? Will I remember? So important is that allowance piece, and just bring ourselves back to that breathing, to that heart center every single time. Like David was saying, there's so many little practices that he shared with us today that we can just kind of do in any kind of situation, just to bring ourselves back into who we truly are, and help us remember that we are through and above a lot of this dense heaviness that we have to interact with on a daily basis. And only through these kinds of practices, I know, David, you're talking about habits a little bit earlier on. Humans are, really, really funny creatures. We have to get things doing it for a few weeks. I think I forget who that author was talking about 30 days to develop those habits. Same situation here. We talked about spiritual practices on a daily basis. It could be a 5-minute meditation in the morning, and that's it, just to kind of start you off. Just start somewhere to keep reminding yourself that you are above this dense physical nature, that we are in fact spiritual beings just having a human experience. I'll shut up now and we'll hear from Kay. Hello, Kay.
Hello. Thank you, David. Thank you. I've done a lot of activations and meditations before, but this was the most powerful for me. It's like my body just took over and I'm still vibrating. Feels like every cell of my body and even my teeth are still vibrating. What I had was some synchronicities this morning. It was quite interesting because every morning I read A Course in Miracles and I pull one of my gratitude cards. And the card that I pulled this morning, I put them back in, shuffle, 4 days in a row. I got the same one. And it says, I am grateful for the hidden treasures inside the pain you would never expect to be there. So that one, 4 days in a row, I knew today had to be something that would release whatever it is I need to release. And the other strange synchronicity was when I opened my iPad up this morning, because I closed it after last night's CC gathering, all of a sudden it started to play and it started to give me this information that I should set up of pillars, 4 pillars. And I should have either 3 other friends, or if I didn't have the friends there, that I should choose something to be the other 3, and they had to be placed equally apart, whatever. And all of a sudden I thought of that just as we began the meditation, and I grabbed whatever I had on the table and I realized, oh my gosh, I had this brochure from Sedona, so there was Earth. And then I had this mug that's got little sea creatures on for water, and my water. I've got you, the whole group is the air. And then you mentioned in the meditation that the fire was within and the light was within. So I had all 4 elements set up here. And it was the most powerful meditation. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know that made a huge shift. Thank you.
Amazing. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. And yeah, the synchronicities, if we are watching and if we're hearing and if we are feeling, we will definitely pick up on that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Kay. Next up, we have one of our regulars, Steve. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks, Philip. G'day, everyone. G'day, David. Thanks very much. That was really, really powerful. I just wanted to say I had about 8 to 9 shivers during that activation. So whatever was in me was coming out. So just again, really thank you for that. I actually saw the line as well too for some reason. So that I did get a glimpse of it, especially when I think you started the second activation. Really, really resonated with me for a couple of seconds as well too. Yeah, lots going in my life. One thing I just wanted to share with anyone, I don't know if you can see it. It's a little apple seed and it's grown. So I just wanted to show that, this has meant so much to me. And I think around the world that, these little seeds are regenerating, resurrection, and we're creating a tree of life here. So I just wanted to share that with everyone, that there is hope. And as long as we continue with love, we can change anything. So I just want to say a big thank you, blessings to you all. Yeah.
That's amazing. Can I share something, Philip? Real quick? I know I've got other peeps here because some stuff comes in all the time. That's amazing. If you did see a lion, this may or may not be the case, but the reason why I'm so connected to lions, why I'm a Leo, a number of reasons, but I'm connected to the Syrians in some way, some of the Syrian lion beings, specifically about, oh God, I don't know, I forget time now. Time is so strange, but about 6 or 7 months ago, I just lay down to go to sleep. It was about 11 o'clock and this lion came in, this picture of a lion right here, boom, like something like a slide. Someone had dropped a slide in front of, into my mind's eye, very clear. And the girlfriend I was with at the time has done a lot of work with the Syrians as well. And I shared this experience with her the next day, and she sent me this picture. I'll find it for you. Oh my God. Okay, favorites. I'll better pull it up pretty quick here. Hopefully you can see it on the screen. Now this is, you can see that this is Bakal, and he is one of the, I think, 16-foot tall Syrian lion beings of the light, protectors working with all kinds of realms. But that's the pretty much exact picture that came in, and Nicole had sent me that. So synchronicity, you can't make this stuff up. So it could be that that was an activation of some kind. Could be nothing. Could just be, soul memory. Trust yourself with that. It will be the right thing for you. If you want to invite the Syrians in and see if they want to come back in, then you can do that too. Lastly, you mentioned the tree of life. My current girlfriend and I did a friend's very sick right now with a very high fever, and we wanted to do a group healing. So we did that. Before I even began, the tree of life came right in. So there's the tree for you. So beautiful sharing, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Amazing stuff. Thank you so much, Steve, and thank you for that, David. I'm for whatever reason, I'm definitely not surprised that you are a Leo, David. But thank you very much for sharing that. That definitely makes a lot of sense. All right, next up we have Connie. Welcome, Connie.
Greetings, soul family. It's so wonderful to be with you. What a wonderful meditation. I can't wait till the end meditation. Kiara, you're going to blast us out of here in such a beautiful way. Thank you very much. I follow you both on Above Duality. Kiara, I sit with you every morning. Well, when I can wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I sit with you during your meditation time. So thank you very much for the service that you have given to me and all the helps that you've given to me. You've been a great deal of encouragement to myself, and I'm just sharing it forward to the lovely faces you see today on the screen. So I have 2 points to make, one to each of you. And Kay, I love the 4 directions. The 4 directions medicine of the elements is beautiful. I'll let you figure out which sign I am, which element I am. But David, I so resonate with the creation story that you say, the sperm and the egg and the incarnation, that energy, that is our life. And as soon as we can key into where we think we are, right, Kiara, who we think we are, that is who we are, that element, that energy, the God divinity within us. And so thank you for sharing that today. And Kiara, I'll go swim in the sharks with you. Please give me a call. I'm going to go swimming with the sharks with you anytime. I just can't wait till we move past all this global insanity so that we can begin to live a life in abundance. And we do have that abundance right now. We just need to think about things different and see things differently, use our senses to navigate. And so I say about that much. I appreciate everything that you're doing, and aho, matakwe ase.
Thank you so much, Connie. That was beautiful. I think Kiara wants to jump in here.
Well, I've been going to the Red Sea in Egypt every year to swim with dolphins. And this is a group of wild dolphins in Sataya Bay. And it will still happen. This year we had to cancel it last year. So maybe before going to swim with the sharks, we could warm up by taking some time to be with the dolphins, which is an amazing experience. There's about 300 or 400 wild dolphins that actually live in this particular bay. And it's such a precious gift to be with them both ways, because, I see ourselves as humans as the left brain of Gaia, and the whales and the dolphins are the right brain of Gaia. And we both need to support each other and link together as part of Gaia's awakening journey. So yes, if any of you would like to join me, just let me know.
Amazing.
We'll do the
Thank-
sharks after.
I think I might have to allow my fear to dissolve before I can swim with some sharks. But you're definitely right. There is an ancient connection we have with these creatures, and so important that we do what we can to reconnect and retether with those connections. Thank you so much, Kiara, for that. And thank you, Connie, for some loveliness there. Awesome. Awesome. After Connie, we had, I'm scrolling back up in the chat here. We had Nicole that wanted to pop on. Nicole, you are up.
Hi, thank you so much for all that you do. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful. Kiara and David, you're absolutely part of my path, my awakening. I follow you on Above Duality. It's fantastic. I'm always surprised, but of course, never surprised. It's always delicious. So thank you. I have a question. I'm being called to find out maybe how I'm linked in previous lives to other beings, sort of where I come from. I mean, on this planet, I'm a Leo, but that's not the whole picture. And I'm wondering what the best path is to go on that discovery. There are some schools of thought of, hypnosis. Other schools say no hypnosis because that disconnects the soul. And I'm just sitting in a bit of confusion at the moment. Anything you can suggest?
Well, I could speak to that. I believe that everything we need to know, we'll be guided to. If you don't need to know, it doesn't show up. Because otherwise it just becomes a distraction. And then it becomes glamour. We're looking to prove something to ourselves because we don't feel enough. If we can be fully present in this moment, everything that's in the past is part of what we are today. Because we've learned how to identify with the mind. We've learned how to identify with our experiences, and that's based on a timeline going to the past or into the future, rather than being present with who we are, which is not a mental concept. And that's where we get stuck, because we get stuck in these mental concepts. I don't have any memories of the past. People ask me, who I've been, and people tell me what I've been, and I say, okay, fine, no problem. But it's not something I'm really curious about. What I'm really dedicated to is being as fully present as possible on this earth at this time, given where we are, given what we're going through, given this birthing process, which makes us, very present with what's going on now, including with all the fears and all the pain and all the suffering. So when we're talking about going through these times, the COVIDian times, it's not an easy time, but it's a birthing process. And if we can see that in that context, rather than feeling despairing, rather than feeling hopeless, rather than feeling betrayed, recognizing that we're going through a cycle. We talked about astrological structures. We're going through cycles of time that are astrological ages, that are yugas. We're going through a transition from one yuga, one age, into another age right now. It's a birthing process. And like any birthing, there's going to be trauma. Like any birthing, there's going to be opportunities to emerge and to birth something never before seen. And like any birthing, there's also a death. There's a releasing of old forms, old paradigms, old systems, old civilizations, old structures. And that's the part that we find so difficult. And that's why we tend to need some kind of reassurance. And most of the time we look for that reassurance in what we've experienced in the past. So if I know what I've been in the past, then I'm reassured to be safe. Then I can be present. But why can't we just be present without having to stretch into a timeline?
Yeah.
And then we have the power to create new timelines, starting with this moment. And that's what's important. Here we are on this earth. The old doesn't matter, the past doesn't matter, because it's a paradigm that's already shifted. In fact, when we talk about past lifetimes, on a soul level, there are no past lifetimes. It's all here. It's all multidimensional. We are stretched out across the universe in this moment. And we're only aware consciously of what's happening in this life. But there's so much more on a soul level. And this is what we're exploring right now, how to enter into relationship, into communion with who we are on that level, because we are multidimensional. And everything we need to know is always given to us. But what it requires from us first is a surrender, is a dedication. And that's always here, that's always. And the more we have that, then the universe can move through us. And that's key. Whether we know that it's happening or not, who knows? Just your presence makes a difference to the world around you. We often talk about the scale of consciousness from 0 to 1,000 that David Hawkins came up with. And part of what the scale of consciousness is about is that it's not so important the quality or the quantity of people who are holding a space for awakening. What's important is the quality. It's our ability to hold that multidimensional perspective. And then we automatically become vehicles and channels for something much greater than ourselves. So the question isn't so much who we've been in the past, because that's still referring to the personal self, but who am I now? Who am I as a multidimensional being? Who am I as a creator being, as a manifestor being? And that requires an ability to link the personal self with the transpersonal self. This is what I find so exciting at this time, because we're actually literally becoming a new species on Earth. The old species, Homo sapiens, is dissolving. And any kind of dissolving, just like a caterpillar knows, is not an easy experience. But at the same time, we're becoming the new species, Homo luminous. And what is Homo luminous? The divine human, new capacities, new capabilities, new connections, where we are not just experiencing ourselves as the personal self, but we're also experiencing ourselves simultaneously as the universal self. And the universal self is absolutely free. Free of concepts, free of the past, free of the future. There's no time in the way that we know time in this dimension. There's no space as we know space in this dimension. Once we begin to experience that, we experience ourselves as creators within creation. And that's what makes it so powerful. And it's easy. It's not something that we have to struggle with. The struggle is trying to hold on to the past. So what I'm saying is it's not that sometimes an investigation of past lives is not important. Sometimes it's part of what needs to heal within the fragmented aspect of our being. And then it comes up. Hypnosis is fine. Just sometimes you'll be triggered by memories. You go someplace and memories start to come through. and you follow that, or you're reading something, or you're writing something, or you're doing the communication with another entity or aspect of yourself, and information starts to come through. So a big part of it is also trusting what you're given, and not holding on to a belief system around it, because that's what keeps us trapped in the past. That's what keeps us trapped in concepts and beliefs. And what we're doing is letting go of all of that, so we can be free to be a total multidimensional being. And so what starts to happen at this point is that you're actually developing a relationship with levels of the mind beyond the conscious mind, with levels of the soul beyond the personal self. So there's levels of the mind far beyond the rational mind. We're talking about the higher mind, where we can see the big picture, and that's another very important piece. So to be able to step outside of the narrow moment of time and this narrow dimension of space, to see the bigger picture as absolutely as possible. That's the higher mind. Then we have the illumined mind, where your senses actually begin to open, because our senses inform the mind in this dimension. But if our senses are limited, then our perceptions of the mind also are limited. So if we can expand our senses to include subtle senses, this is something we can develop with practice. Then we get to a level of the mind, the intuitive mind, where we become everything that we observe. I'm communicating with you, I become you. I'm experiencing Syrian beings floating down through this dimension, and I become them. So this becoming is part of this intuitive level of the mind, where there's no separation anymore between the inside and the outside, between the personal and the transpersonal. This is also part of our divinity. Then we go beyond to what Sri Aurobindo, a mystic yogi from India, refers to as the overmind. This is the archetypal level of the mind, where everything we need to know is available. From any corner of the galaxy through Akashic libraries. Whether we need to understand about healing, whether we need to look at a plant and recognize what the gift of that plant is. Whether we need to manifest something in our life and are looking for purpose. All of that comes through that level of the mind instantly. This is the realm of the gods and the goddesses, new creation. And this is what we're entering into as we pass into this new age. Beyond that is another level of the mind, the supermind. And this is the creative level of the mind. David referred to Shiva as the god representing death and rebirth, the dance of life. Satchitananda, the ultimate source consciousness, primordial consciousness. This is what's stepping in now at this time as we cross the threshold of a new age. This is what's becoming manifested. This is what's entering deep into the heart of matter, into our bodies, into our daily experience of life, and into our community. And everything that's going on outside of ourselves is part of this descent of the supramental force. And this is a really key point. And I think if we understood nothing else about what's going on now, this is enough. And what Sri Aurobindo said about this is the supramental level of consciousness of the mind is now stepping into matter, stepping into our physical bodies into the body of the earth. And what's happening in response to this, because it's so physical, it's entering into dense physical third dimensional matter. So in response to this, all the layers of illusion, fear, darkness that we've carried, heaviness, separation, all of that's coming up to the surface to be seen and to be released. So he refers to this as the supramental catastrophe. So we have the supramental descent followed by supramental catastrophe. So this is really important because if we were experiencing this quality of light, this unified light coming in, it's inevitable that we're also going to be experiencing what appears to be deeper layers of darkness coming to the surface. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're experiencing in this past year. Many of you have been experiencing physical challenges, emotional, mental, memory loss, Kundalini activations, ascension symptoms. All of this is part of the response of heavy energies, of dense trauma that we've carried in the physical body or the emotional body or the mental body or even the spiritual body, the soul. And all of this, as it comes up to the surface and clears out, then prepares us to step into another dimension. This is the birthing. This is how we are entering the cocoon so we can become the human butterfly, the Homo luminous. So it's a beautiful journey if we can see the big picture rather than getting stuck into the limited form.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I am so blessed to be on the planet at this moment and with these beautiful people. So thank you. It is Divine Sunday.
That was I hope everyone buckled their seatbelts before Kiara started talking there, because he just really skyrocketed us to the next level. I don't know if I was prepared for that. I wrote down something that to hope to summarize what Kiara was talking about, but I don't think I'm going to do it justice. Basically allowing the knowledge and affirmation we seek to present itself to us in the way and the time that is meant for us. But with all that extra stuff there, that was absolutely beautiful. A really, really good summary of what we've been going through over the past just a little over the year, maybe a little longer. Some of us since 2012, some of us a little longer as well. It's all part of that string of events that are leading us to this point and beyond. David, you were patient with your hand raised. I know you wanted to jump in here as well.
I'm going to choose not to add anything more to that. Because that was just. I hope you're recording this, Philip. That was
I am, and I almost didn't because usually at the sharing period I'll pause it, but something just kind of said to me, no, keep recording here. There's going to be some good stuff. Thank you, Nicole, for that wonderful question. Obviously, that triggered a beautiful response from Kiara, and hopefully, it really resonated with everyone here. I'm most sure that it did. Thank you so much. On that note, we are bridging or kind of getting to that 2-hour mark very closely. Kiara, would you like to jump back in here and share some more wisdom and lead us into our closing?
Sure, happy to. Yes, so as we talked about the scale of consciousness, as we begin to develop further along the scale of consciousness, we start moving from the qualities of guilt and shame and fear into joy, beauty, peace, love, and awakening. And this is a journey, and we support each other in this journey, and we're supported by so many others, light beings and elemental beings, from so many dimensions of light and life. So let's remember that at all times, even and especially if you're feeling not up to it. when you're feeling in despair, when you're confronting the tragedies of this age and feeling hopeless or helpless. You know, much of this may have to do with what's going on in Canada and around the world with not just the CV thing, but also the jabs that are supposed to prevent this, but in reality are far more dangerous than the CV thing in itself. But if we go beyond that, if we investigate what a virus is in context of the big picture, every virus is simply part of nature's building blocks to create new mutational structures. It's a fear around viruses, or fears around anything, fears around this COVID thing. It's the fears that are the virus in terms of how we react to them. And instead of that, if we can simply see all of this as an opportunity to mutate positively, we can mutate through fear, which is a negative mutation, or we can mutate through trust, through love, through self-awareness, which is always a much more positive mutation. And so as we grow in consciousness, as we evolve towards 1000 on the scale, we become creators. And what that means is that we have joined our personal self with the planetary self, with Gaia's own purpose and intention, with her own plan, which includes all species of life, including viruses and bacteria, including every single animal, plant, bird, fish, amphibian, dolphin, and elemental creatures. The mineral kingdoms, the plant kingdom, every single species that exists on this earth has a purpose and is all part of Gaia, including the human species. And for me, what's been important is that there was a time in my life when I was absolutely antagonistic to the human race. Look what we've done to this earth. Look what we've done to ourselves and to each other. Is this what we were born for? And I was so furious at what we were doing to this planet until I realized that how Mother Earth sees us is very differently. We see ourselves as we continue to evolve through the eyes of guilt and shame because, it's a self-reflection of what we have managed to do on this planet, to hurt, to separate. Meanwhile, Mother Earth is always looking at us through eyes of patience, tolerance, unconditional love, and acceptance, welcoming, no matter what, because she sees that we haven't completed our journey yet. We're still children, we're still adolescent, and we don't judge children by the same standards that we judge adults. We're still in this phase where we're growing into adulthood, into maturity. And so coming into relationship with Gaia, coming into relationship with higher aspects of our own being and with lower aspects of our own being, by which I mean the elemental aspects. This is all part of our growth into maturity. We find at some point that we are no longer separate from the consciousness of the earth, and we can see through the eyes of Gaia. So then, rather than judging ourselves and being afraid of who we are, we become part of the evolution of Gaia. And right now, we don't have a choice. We've already made that choice, even though we may not know it on a conscious level. So that choice is past. If we choose to be here on this earth, it's because we choose to be in resonance with Gaia. All those of you listening here have made that choice. Those who have chosen otherwise, that's also a choice. And that's also fine, because there's many lifetimes beyond to continue on. Remember, we talked about conception. David mentioned conception and birthing. What happens at conception? There's millions of sperm cells all eagerly rushing towards a single egg. Only one or two make it, or three sometimes, and if you happen to be a triplet. But if it wasn't for the millions of other sperm cells eating away at the acidic environment within the egg, it would be impossible for that single sperm cell to make it through. So our journey now as a collective humanity is to impregnate the womb of Gaia with new consciousness, with new possibilities. It's not a mental process, but it's happening nevertheless. This is when we're talking about the human butterfly. So it's not necessary that millions and billions of people are going to make it into the new species. What's necessary is that a few are able to mutate in that direction. That then creates a ripple effect that then moves across the collective consciousness of Gaia. And the mission is accomplished. Then there's a collective wave of light that can sweep through. The supramental force can descend. This is how yugas actually operate. You know, you're familiar with the ages of darkness, followed by ages of light, followed by, it's a cycle. But what's interesting is that you may take 12,000 years to descend from an age of light into an age of darkness. But the journey back into an age of light is like that. It only takes an instant in time, in linear time. And this is what's critical for us to remember now. We're very close to that instant of time when we're ready to shift from an age of darkness into an age of light. I've been working with the Saptarishis. These are the 7 rishis that are part of the evolution of humanity as a species. And they've been working with us for a long, long time. Some of them are physicalized, some of them are etheric beings who come and go, enter into physical form and then leave. But their whole task has been about awakening our perceptions through the intention of Mother Earth to become what we are capable of becoming. And what they say is that we're going to go through this tunnel, like a birth tunnel. And as every mother knows and every child knows, going through this tunnel of birth, just like going through this tunnel of death, is temporary, it's short, but it's not necessarily always easy. But as we go through it, then a new birth, a new earth emerges. And what the Saptarishis have been saying is that the next 10, 11 years or so could be a bit rough. But by 2032, and this is also a time when we'll be going through a new solar cycle, a new galactic cycle. But by then, there'll be an accelerated path of goodness. And that's when everything that we've gone through will become worth it. Everything that we've suffered, everything that we've struggled with as part of our need for sovereignty and freedom and the appearance of control and oppression drops away. So I don't know if I was responding to a question or something just came through. But
No,
just
you were not responding to a question. That's just something that came through as natural as it needed to be. So thank you very much for sharing that and really kind of pulling it all together for us, what we've been talking about before, what we talk about in our individual groups, what we're talking about now. It is super, super important that we just sit in that and sit in that love and sit in that wisdom so we can really, like you said, help push this force, push these changes, push this transition forward in the way that we need to. And everyone has a different part to play in how that comes about. So thank you so much. You're definitely giving lots of love there from the group. Kiara, you were going to be leading us in a quick closing meditation just to round us out for the day.
Sure. So yeah, I'll just take 5 minutes because I know we're close to the end. So let's do a meditation. I think some of you were here last time when we did a practice from the Cuero Inca tradition in the Andes. And the starting point is that the universe is simply one flow of energy and light. There's no negative or positive. It's simply either being with the flow or resisting the flow. And so they have a very simple practice for opening up to this flow of the universe. They talk about the upper world, they talk about the lower world. The upper world has to do with electrical flows of energy. The lower world has to do with magnetic flows of energy. And this is how creation happens. You need both electrical forces and magnetic forces on any given planet for physical form to be manifested. So then the higher aspects of your being can birth themselves into physicality and then manifest accordingly. So let's begin by just imagining a bubble of light completely surrounding your physical body, about 6 feet in all directions. Or if you're somewhere other than North America, 2 meters in all directions. So it's like a luminous bubble, what the Inca shamans refer to as a luminous egg. And this represents the middle world. It represents our physical, etheric, emotional, and mental bodies. So it's our personal self. And now directly over the top of this bubble, so about 6 feet over the top of your head, imagine that there's a window, a circular window. And you simply invite this window to open now, as wide as you can. So there's no effort involved. It's simply an invitation. And the moment that window opens, there's this tremendous force of light that starts to pour in from the upper worlds, from the worlds of spirit, through that window, down through the bubble, down through your physical body, into the earth. It's very intense electrical frequency of light, like a waterfall pouring in and down. As it moves through the bubble, it begins to clear out any resistance, any heaviness, any trauma, any physical pain, any miasms, any fears, any outworn belief systems, any emotional patterns, any programs, all of these things that we've carried in our subconscious and within our bodies. So it automatically, naturally, effortlessly begins to clear out what the Incas call hucha. And this continues on its own. And meanwhile, there's a law of the universe that the Incas referred to as reciprocity, Aini. And what this means is that whenever there's energy flowing in one direction, there's a response in the other direction. So as the electrical forces move downwards towards the earth, there's a response upwards from the earth. So from deep within the center of the earth, you begin to experience these magnetic forces. This is the life force of Mother Earth, the unconditional love, the support, the nurturing, the wisdom, the power, the beauty. This is the magnetic force that interacts with the electrical forces and allows us to stretch out beyond the personal self. So remember that all of this is happening by itself. All you're doing is keeping that window open through your intention, and then the electrical forces pour downwards, followed by simultaneously magnetic forces pouring upwards. And as these two interact with each other, the bubble actually begins to expand. So these four lower bodies begin to stretch out into the causal body, the soul. It happens by itself again. You feel this expansion taking place. You feel more and more how the boundary between inside and outside simply begins to fade away. You feel yourself expanding out to become one with Gaia as a planetary being. You become Gaia. You experience the oceans and the forests, every species of life, visible and invisible, all the different layers of her being as yourself. You are that, you are Gaia. Your personal self and your planetary self begin to merge and become one. And as that continues to happen, that window itself begins to expand further. The intensity of the electrical and the magnetic forces becomes even stronger. And you continue to expand out and out, as far out as you wish to go. If you had more time, you could continue out beyond the earth, into the solar system, out into the Milky Way, out across the galaxies, out to the borders of time and space and creation. And then beyond that, to become one with the universal, primordial, infinite self. And you're experiencing this as holographic fractal realities. So all of this is you. The personal self is you. The planetary self is you. The galactic, cosmic, solar, intergalactic self is you. And that aspect of your being beyond time and space is you. So that's what it means to be multidimensional. And so as we open to the electrical and the magnetic forces, this becomes part of our experience. And for the Incas, this was the most natural thing there could be. Inca means light. And Inca is one who has become light. Which means becoming what you already are. So for those of you who would like to continue experiencing this, we have a Saturday meditation at 9 a.m. European time. So if you wish to join, I think it would be probably late night for you, but those are good times to meditate anyway. Or you can watch them on my YouTube channel later. Next week on our Age of Pandora, we have Lisa Whaler. And her gift is her ability to become one with Gaia and to experience what that means and to activate new possibilities from that space of union. Is something we're all capable of, something we're all learning and practicing and apprenticing. So come join us on our Age of Pandora next Tuesday if you can. And so grateful to be part of this community, Phil and everybody else. I know our time has come and gone.
It's okay. It is just the natural flow here. I really appreciate those beautiful words, Kiara, and thank you very much for that closing. David, do you have any final thoughts?
No, that was wonderful, Kiara. Thank you, my brother of light. Yeah, everything you said, is so good. Let us remember the conversations that we're having today as we're out there in the world, observing things that may not resonate with us, with what's going on. We can step into this vibration at any time. We don't need group gatherings like this. Of course, it's amazing to do it. Amazing. But we can step into that, drop into that space, that other frequency, that other place at any time and still be fully present in the space we're in. So thank you, Philip, for inviting us on. We look forward to more. Kiara and I'm happy to speak for him in this regard when we say we're delighted to be here. We're honored to be of service and just honored to be here with all of you. Thank you for your attendance and your contributions to our learning. And we look forward to the next round.
I'd like to close with one treasure from the chats from Kay, who says, I'm grateful for the hidden treasures inside pain that I would never have expected to be there. And that's such a profound statement. Thank you, Kay.
It absolutely is. Thank you so much, Kiara, for bringing that up, and thank you, Kay, for sharing that as well. And yes, we look forward to the next time where we can get together. Hopefully, it's not as long as last time. I know we had a little bit of a big of a gap there, but we're going to close that gap. I hope and get together before summer again. That would be great. Thank you so much for your time and energy, David. Thank you so much for your time and energy, Kiara. I know it's a little bit later for you, but thank you so much for doing that. And yes, please check out Kiara's YouTube and the Above Duality YouTube and Age of Pandora podcast. Some wonderful content on there. Really looking forward to connecting with both of you again. And thank you everyone for just, again, taking the time and energy to be with us. And David's right. We don't have to wait for time to work on ourselves and to heal with gathering in together. We can do so on our own time as well. So important that we heal and grow individually as well as collectively to really raise that vibration. Thank you everyone for taking the time and energy today. I've loved connecting and sharing with all of you. We will be back here next Sunday doing the same thing, continue to raise vibration. There are plenty of Connecting Consciousness Canada gatherings and events happening. Just go to the website, canadacc.org, for all those details. Thank you, everyone, for coming out today. It's been a pleasure. Very grateful for all of you. We will see you all next time. Thank you, everyone.